next section, our next presentation, on stage, Youngwoo Kim, Ezra Wiesner, the Managing Director of Information Technology at the Philadelphia Orchestra, and Ryan Fleur, who's the Executive Vice President of Orchestra Advancement for the Philadelphia Orchestra, and they're going to engage in a presentation. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. I'm Ezra Wiesner, Director of IT at the Philadelphia Orchestra. Thanks, Youngwoo, for the introduction of LiveNote app. So, LiveNote, what is it? LiveNote is a Google app. It's an iOS app. It's in the stores. It's free. You can download it now. It works in Verizon Hall at the Kimmel Center on the Verizon Hall wireless system. There's a great video that our concertmaster David Kim did to explain it, so when you get some time, look up Philadelphia Orchestra and David Kim, and he will explain exactly how it works for the patrons who come and use LiveNote. And you can also go to livenote.philorg.org. But basically, LiveNote presents text and pictures based on current measure of live music being played in Verizon Hall. So you come into the Verizon Hall, you download the app, you get a selection of pieces that are going to be played that performance, and you click into the piece, and it's basically a slideshow with multi-tracks that are targeted for different audiences. So if you're a novice classical music goer and you want to see some content that is targeted to someone who isn't familiar with the piece being played, then you would select that appropriate track. If you have some knowledge of the music being played, you would select a different track that would have some context, maybe historical context, or maybe some musical analysis about that piece. And it's supposed to engage you at different levels depending on your familiarity with the content. It works with our Wi-Fi in Verizon Hall. So it's not something that you can do when you're not on the campus. That is a technical constraint right now, but it's interesting in that it also forces you to come to the concert and experience what's going on stage. So it's a good technical constraint for us. It uses LAMP technology, so Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP. That's the back end of LiveNote. We work with a great developer at Drexel named Matt Prokop under Youngwoo's guidance, and that was the technology he built it on. We adopted it, brought it in-house, made it work at Verizon Hall, built an entire infrastructure to support Verizon Hall with something like 26 access points. We're completely wired and ready to go for anything that might happen in the future. Uses multicast distribution. I don't want to get too technical, but that's a one-to-many networking technology. So I send it out once, and everyone picks up the stream. And really all the stream is the current measure number. When you go into Verizon Hall, download the app, you're downloading content for the night, and the multicast presents the current measure number, and that's how you know where you are in the piece and you're guided through. Why LiveNote? It was really one of Youngwoo's students who came up with the idea and brought it to us. We went, the orchestra and Drexel jointly went out to fundraise for this application, and we turned one of Youngwoo's students' ideas into a reality, and eventually an entire concert series. We want to engage new audiences. I think that's just self-explanatory. One size does not fit all. Different content tracks for different types of people. We knew that we couldn't just give folks information on one level and expect another member of the audience to think that was appropriate for him or herself. And we wanted to meet the audience on the platform they were already on. We had a college night maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and we have one every year in September or October, late September, early October, where college students come to the Philadelphia Orchestra for free. And we had rolled out LiveNote only as a test to certain employees and the staff. And we hid ourselves up on the third tier to make sure no one would see what we were doing because we didn't want to disturb the college kids in the concert. The first thing that we saw was every student whipped out a phone or an iPad. And we realized this wasn't going to distract them very much. They were already doing it. So I think it was a light bulb for us 3 or 4 years ago that we're not going to be able to beat this, so why don't we redirect people's attention to what's going on stage. This is just a screenshot. This is how we solved it. Basically, the tracks are the story and the roadmap in this case, and that gives you different content depending on which tab you pick. Also on the bottom, where the vertical line is, that shows what measure you are. And the dots represent slide changes. So once you hit a dot, you will get some new content. It's basically, at this point, text and pictures. And if you swipe up, you basically get an analysis of the piece. We struggle with a lot of information that needs to get packed in at this point. So, but it still is a really neat thing to be able to show someone where they are, where the repetitions are, and the general analysis. What have we learned from LiveNote? Well, LiveNote is a great tool, and it lets us talk to audiences in different ways. It's not a program book. We could never do some of the things that we do in LiveNote in a program book. We're able to direct content to people at particular points in time and connect soloists or living conductors with what they've written to the content that's on LiveNote. A big for instance is you can have a living composer talk about what they were thinking exactly when that piece of music was being played at a particular point in time. We learned that content is key. If the content's not compelling, this is a gimmick and no one's going to be interested. But if the content is really good and well thought out, people will come back and use it again. It took 4 years for us to develop this app. It took a lot of commitment from the staff, a lot of trial and error, a lot of talking to audiences about how they feel about this. We also learned that infrastructure is important. Like I said, we made a substantial investment in Verizon Hall to make this program work. We took risks, but we tried to mitigate them. When we designed LiveNote, we made sure that the background was dark, that it dimmed the phone to 50%, and that we were able to message folks to turn their phone off. Sometimes it's a little annoying, but you get alert when you first come in saying, "Are you sure you turned your phone off? Are you sure you turned your phone off?" So we learned that we had to do things to make sure that we preserve the concert environment. We also learned that if you don't know your iTunes password, it's really hard to install the app. So download it before you come. Unexpected outcomes. I think going back to the content, we didn't realize that we had to think about developing content in a completely different way. And we spent a lot of staff time. The previous slide I showed our artistic staff looking at content, listening, revising, really trying to make sure that the slide changes hit really important pieces of the music. A new concert series was born, LiveNote Nights. That is a special format. It's on Wednesdays, usually. Our fall's on Wednesdays. We have our next one on next week on the 22nd. It's a 6:30 start, which is a different start time. It's only an hour long, and we usually have our conductor speak from stage. And we learned that we need to get it into more people's hands. If people use it, they like it. If they don't use it, they're a little resistant, but as soon as they use it, they like the app. Fun facts, take rate is 20%. 20% of people are using it when they come in and it's available. We've developed over 30 pieces, and we've done 7 concerts so far. And the future, I will have Brian and Fleur talk about a little bit of the future of LiveNote.
It's you could sort of read the future behind me, but what I'll say is I'm Ryan Fleur, Executive Vice President with the Philadelphia Orchestra, and our mission, basically paraphrased, is to bring joy and life and music to you. And this Live Note ties into this mission by really leveraging technology to meet current and future audiences where they are. So with that, I mean, we're thinking, what are our next steps? Drexel has been an incredible partner. It's not easy for a university and a performing arts organization to work together, and let alone work together for over 4 years and to bring something to fruition. And we're deeply grateful for that. So we're looking at how are we going to open source this technology, or we're going to license it. We're in deep dialogue together to determine the best steps forward. We have heard from entities around the world about this. In fact, next week there's going to be dozens of leading technology folks from the largest performing arts organizations that are coming to our performance. So the last thing I'll tell you, Ezra said it again, but that next Wednesday is the last time you'll be able to experience Live Note this year. Please come. Tickets are only $25. There's information circulating, and you can come experience what may be the future of the concert experience. And Young-Moo, I think we'd be foolish if we didn't include you in this discussion as somebody who's been with us from the beginning.
I'll just echo what Ryan said. It's been an absolute privilege working with the Philadelphia Orchestra and Ezra and Ryan and their team. I just want to highlight that this is the kind of project that would not have happened through the normal course of events. It's not that the technology wasn't there. The technology was there. The commercial incentives weren't there. And so it's, I think, a great example of how a nonprofit academic institution can come together with a nonprofit arts organization to create something of impact, to create something of meaning. And I hope that we'll have other chances to explore that model here in Philadelphia in the future.
Great. Thank you.